I'm Stuart McIntosh with the BBC News. Hello. The former US President Donald Trump has been ordered to give evidence to the Congressional Committee investigating the storming of the Capitol building in Washington in January last year. The committee voted unanimously to subpoena Mr. Trump. The chairman, Benny Thompson, said there was no doubt that the former president led an effort to upend American democracy. Mr. Trump has dismissed the hearings and asked why he wasn't asked to testify earlier. Emma Vardy reports from Washington.
The committee said Donald Trump was the central player in the chaos that unfolded on January the 6th as his supporters stormed the US Capitol. Through a series of hearings, it has set out to prove that the deadly violence was the culmination of months of efforts by the former president to overturn the results of the 2020 election, and that he incited and endorsed the insurrection, knowing the violence that armed protesters had planned.
The head of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, says the military alliance will soon provide Ukraine with hundreds of jammers to counteract Russian and Iranian drones. Speaking at the end of a two-day meeting in Brussels, Mr. Stoltenberg said NATO defence ministers had agreed to increase Allied stockpiles of munitions and were increasing protection of their crucial facilities following the sabotage of Nord Stream gas pipelines in the Baltic.
NATO allies are supplying advanced systems, including artillery, air defense and armored vehicles. Under this package, NATO will shortly deliver counter-drone equipment to Ukraine, with hundreds of drone jammers, which can help render ineffective Russian and Iranian-made drones, and to protect Ukrainian people and critical infrastructure.
The Turkish parliament has approved a controversial media law that could see journalists and social media users sent to prison for spreading false or misleading information. The law requires social networks and internet sites to hand over personal details of suspects. Nicholas Russia reports.
The new law proposed by the governing AK party of President Erdogan has been vigorously condemned by the opposition and media rights groups. It states that those who spread false information online about Turkey's security could face a prison sentence of 1 to 3 years. Government supporters say it'll protect the country from disinformation, but opponents argue that it will limit freedom of expression and increase self-censorship. Opposition parties have said the legislation aims to silence government critics ahead of elections next year.
Nigeria's Court of Appeal has dropped terrorism charges against the Biafran separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu. The judges found that a lower court didn't have the jurisdiction to try the case and that Mr. Kanu had been extradited illegally from Kenya. Nigeria's Minister of Justice said the government would continue to pursue the case. This is the BBC News. The United States says it's imposing visa sanctions on 11 people involved with gangs and other criminal organisations in Haiti. The US has also said it will increase security assistance to the country's national police. Last week, Haiti sent a request to the United Nations for the deployment of an international rapid action force because of a nationwide security crisis. The UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, said a force involving one or more countries would help secure free movement of humanitarian supplies and protect critical infrastructure and services from armed gangs. There's a shortage of fuel and bottled water. Police in southern India have arrested a man for distributing pamphlets urging members of the majority Hindu community to buy products only from Hindu-run shops ahead of a religious festival. The Hindu right-wing supporter from the state of Tamil Nadu is accused of promoting enmity between different religious groups. Our South Asia editor, Ambarasan Etirajan, has more details.
The call for a boycott on Muslim and Christian shops in India's Tamil Nadu state is not an isolated incident. Activists say such campaigns by Hindu hardline groups that are linked to the ruling BJP has increased in recent years across the country. Last week, a video on social media showed an MP from the Hindu nationalist BJP asking villagers not to buy vegetables and meat from shops run by a community, ostensibly referring to Muslims. Many Muslims, who account for 13% of the population, complain of marginalization under the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP.
Tunisia's Coast Guard says the bodies of 15 migrants have been washed up off the coast of Mahdia. They say they were badly decomposed, suggesting they'd been in the water for a long time. The authorities said they were trying to identify them. BBC News.